I love the smell of lightener. What's up, guys? So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna touch up Miss Gabrielle's highlights. She looks good in the front. I love what's going on here. There's a lot of dimension. But here at the top, I kind of want to get these a little bit lighter. And then I have actually never touched underneath. All I've ever done was this really nice, what used to be a rainbow placement. And that was really, really fun. So I've never touched the very bottom of this. So right here, it's really dark. And you can't see any of the colors popping through, right? So what I'm gonna do today is I'm going to add in some balayage highlights in here. And I want them to be really, really bright, especially down at the ends, so that I can match this kind of funky color of like a, almost like a rose gold, like feel. Like this, I would definitely say it's a vibe, you know? It's like a rose gold vibe. All right, so how I'm gonna do that is with probably a couple techniques. I'm probably gonna foil and I'm probably going to balayage. I am mostly going to balayage, and that's what this video is gonna be on today, is just working with some balayage techniques and some of my like tips and tricks on it. Some of the stuff that I feel really impacts a balayage to make it a better balayage, and a balayage that I love and I love doing. I could get a super high lift with this balayage because what we're focusing on is saturation. Saturation is key for anything that you want to do with hair color. Be right back. Okay guys, so I parted off what I needed right here. This is a pretty hefty area and I want to see a lot of lightness from here down. So I'm definitely going to do a lot of blending. All right guys, so I pre-sectioned her off. I left out the whole rainbow triangle section. And then underneath that, I pre-curled it so we can see what we want to stand out, right? So I kind of want like this curl to be pretty darn bright, right? And say some of this hair over here too. So when it curls, we have a lot of depth. All right, so what we're using today is we're using Wella Blondor Free Lights. And this is Wella's clay lightener, my absolute favorite clay lightener. And I'm using 40 volume today because I want a lot of lightness. And 40 volume is gonna help me do that with the clay lightener. Okay, so here's how I like to start off. I'll go ahead and clean my brush on the side of the bowl and I'll pick up a bead. See that bead? There we go. This is really bright. So I'm gonna turn over Miss Gabriella. Lock her into place. Okay, so this is a huge section, right? I'm not going to be balayaging this whole piece at once. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my clip and I'm gonna create a diagonal back. This diagonal back, I know that I wanna paint a lot of underneath here. So what I'm going to do is I'm really going to comb that hair out. I want that hair to be all in the same direction. And so I'm going to over direct here in the middle. And I'm going to start where I want to see the lightness begin, right? So I'm going to start where I want the lightness, and I'm slowly going to creep down to the scalp, and I want this sort of a blend, right? Play, play, play. And what I like to do is I like to have this tip here to kind of move down so that the hair doesn't bunch up like this. When it bunches up like that, you get a very inconsistent palette to work with. And then here, we're going to focus on where that lightness is again. And then since I want a lot of lightness in this area, I'm going to focus on that area. That is what we call at Alta Academy point of light. And then just a little bit of a blend over here. So since I want a lot of lightness here at the bottom, I'm going to use my palette to do so. I'm really just going to slap that product on and work it into the hair. I want to make sure that I penetrate all the way through so that I get maximum lightness here at the bottom. And like I said earlier, saturation is key, right? So I'm going to make sure this cake batter is going to be really cakey, real thick. You know how you don't like that for makeup? Well, we want that for our balayage. And so I'd like to show you guys a little mistake that I just did. See, when I do balayage, it's never perfect. Never perfect. So this little line that we created, if we just dry that out, that lightener stops working when it's dried out, right? So that's not going to lift any. So right here we have like an obtuse rectangle on a diagonal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into a triangle. So this is just like a longer type of a triangle. And I want to see a lot of darkness in this area too. So all I'm going to do is just really focus on this thicker piece. But I'm still going to incorporate a little bit of that thinner piece too. So here, just flick up. I want some lightness in here, but I don't want it to be super light. I want the ends to be lighter. I don't know if you guys can see the saturation, but I have a lot of saturation here and less saturation in this area. That just means a lot less product. So once I get down here, I'm going to move side to side so I really work that product in. And since I want the ends to be a lot lighter, I'm going to push these two together so that they create a shell around each other. When you create a shell around each other, the inside of the shell is what lightens the most. So here in this area, as you can see, I have like 1.5 inches on the hairline. I kind of want to incorporate that because what if I pull it into an updo? I kind of want to see that, right? So to show you guys, I'm going to pull it over like so, and I'm going to paint here. And then I'm just going to drag my brush get a little bit more product. And that's kind of like the look I want to go for right here. And just a little lightness up in here. So we're just connecting all that. And you see this little dot here? If I use a like very small strokes, I can just blend that in. And see how I'm over directing and I still have that tail? I'm going to move her over this way because I'm going to paint on this plane now. I'm going to move that hair over so that I have this plane to work with now. So right here where we want to see the most lightness, and then just fade it up. Because under here, I don't necessarily want all of this to be light, because right here we have a light piece coming through. So I want that light piece to have a place to shine. So I'm not going to oversaturate that area with lightness. Once again, lay that product on. really press that product through. I'm using quite a bit of pressure down here and caking it up. All right, so I got the left side done. I'm gonna turn off the camera and do the other side, and we'll be right back. Okay guys, so here you can see I did both sides. Now let's go ahead and dissect what's happening up here at the top. So we have our vibey rainbow, right? And then on the top of that vibey rainbow, let's see, where's that? Cool. So here we still have a little bit of darkness, right? I want to pop that through so it just all blends in. So I'm going to highlight a piece here, and then I'm going to highlight a couple pieces in this area that goes over the vibey rainbow. And I have some lighter pieces here, but I want some in this area too. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so I'm going to finish up the other side and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so you can see here that I'm built my points of light just to kind of blend in with everything. I still want some dark pieces, but I want those light pieces to pop through also, right? So let's go ahead and look at the veil of this. Let's dissect this a little bit. So we still have some darkness in here, and we have some dark ends. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull those dark ends out. And I'm going to give them a little taste of light. Let's move her over so you guys could see what I just did. A little taste of light here. Just one strand that's going to blend in really, really well. And then let's pull down. Whoa, see that? Mistake. So once again, I see a lot of darkness at the root. I'm going to eliminate the front end, and I'm going to look at this a little bit more closely. See, I still have some darkness here. And see where that's going to lay. That's going to lay on the inside of that inner V, kind of where this is also. So I want to keep the top darker, but the ends just a little bit lighter. So what I could do to make this a little bit different from that one is over direct it. So I'm going to over direct to the back. And I'm going to lay down a pretty thick amount of product and just blend that up. My paddle, and lie this product down really thick on the top section. When we lie it down on the top section and not push the product through, if you can see here it's not penetrating all the way through. It's only going on the surface. That's what they call surface painting. Boom. If it decolorizes some of this stuff, I don't care right now because I want some dimension through this. I know it has a lot of dimension, but I want it to have way more dimension than what it does. So I'm just going to pick a couple pieces out of here. On this side, see darkness here. I'm going to save that. Over direct towards the front. A lot of product on there. A lot of product on there. Fade up. Fade and blend. Boom. So here I'm using quite a bit of pressure to push that product through, especially here on the ends. I'm even moving side to side so that that product goes all the way through. Looking at here, I like what that's already done, so I'm going to leave that there. Just dissecting all of this, all pretty light. I love what that's doing too. And the veil. On this mannequin particularly, I love the veil. It already has a good amount of lightness, so I don't need to touch much of that. And then right here too, it looks great. So we're gonna let this process and I'll come back when it's washed out. Okay guys, as you can see, here is our result from our balayage. Very nice, soft blend with just those ends really tipped out, right? All right, so I'm gonna curl this. Give me a couple seconds. Okay, so as I'm finishing up the quick curl, I just want you guys to acknowledge the placement. So the placement is very front heavy.